welcome to the Racist War, coming to you fashionably late, as has been tradition recently. Doing this on a Friday evening, bit of an unusual time for us. Apologies, but we'll give you about a week and a half worth of content. There's 28 pages here, so you ready to go, Nolsey?
Oh yeah, let's rock and roll.
All right, so we will definitely get to all the news surrounding white Australia and deportations and arrests and everything. But when I started actually putting this prep together, the biggest story at the time, in my opinion, was the Liberal Party's decision to scrap their commitment to net zero carbon emissions by the year 2050. Now, I think we were on hiatus when the Nationals announced this.
Yes,
I gotta say, it was actually a little surprising what happened here, because Barnaby Joyce, as we know, even though he still is in the National Party, he's been sidelined, and he said that he considers himself a free agent, and there's very real talk about him actually moving to One Nation in the next election. But
pretty sure that might be already announced.
Might already be announced, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I remember the ABC were getting pissy about it because of One Nation's climbing approval percentage in polls.
Oh yeah, it's going right up. So, I mean, look, at the very least, we know he's not going to contest the seat of New England as national. That's definitely, we know that. Now, like at the time, it was basically said that he could not come to any kind of reconciliation with the National Party because, well, he has been a long-time opponent of net zero by 2050. But then, he gets sidelined, he becomes a free agent, and then all of a sudden the National Party is talking about scrapping the deal altogether, and I don't just mean mavericks like Matt Canavan, I mean the leader, I mean David Littleproud. So that, of course, then made everyone say, okay, well, how can this sit when you've got a coalition with the Liberal Party? This led to a lot of speculation, of course, that the Conservatives were like sharks circling Susan Lee. And in the end, it seems like some kind of a deal has been done, and Susan Lee's leadership is secure for now because they have announced that they are scrapping this particular ambition. So, well, to give you, to be a bit more specific with this, they said that they want to reduce emissions on average year on year in line with comparable countries and as fast and as far as technologies allow without imposing mandated costs. That latter part, I really don't know if they're going to be able to do that. There's just there's so many green energy projects that take so many years to build that, if they were to be elected at the next election, they would be guaranteed to inherit many of those projects. And, well, I mean, they could just do what has happened to so many hydrogen plants and wind farms.
Just scuttle them.
Yes, just bloody scrap them. But look, as far as imposing increased costs on the public, well, I mean, that damage is already done. They could slow it. But, how are they going to do that? Because, look, it's still quite wishy-washy, because they say, look, we may not be actively striving for net zero, but if we reach it, it would be a welcome outcome. They also are still committed to the Paris Agreement. But yeah, the long-term target is not necessarily net zero.
Well, that's something we've been saying for a while now. It's like, and I'm actually surprised that it's the fall off or the the kind of back placing this stuff is happening so quickly. But yeah, no, the idea that we would be moving away from green energy policy, and especially after this new minerals deal signed with the US, and like basically nuclear treaties signed under AUKUS, we can kind of see that becoming nuclear becoming a realistic thing, not just a buzz electioneering thing. But yeah, I think industrialists have made their money on renewables. Like they've made their money. It's time to get out.
To an extent, and I know I'm repeating myself here, but like the rise in AI technology, a lot of people don't know, but to run generative AI or any kind of AI, really, it actually takes a shit ton of electricity and also a lot of water to be able to provide cooling. And a lot of economists have said to us, look, so many of these companies who are committed to things like net zero or just broad, nice words like sustainability, these companies are now shifting gears, and they want nuclear power because nuclear power is basically the only way you're going to adequately provide the amount of electricity that is needed for AI generation. So I think that's a big factor.
It's basically like megawatt hours plus like megaton and megatons of water, basically. Because like all AI systems, they run off of like basically multiple sets of systems of linear algebra, and linear algebra, as it's being employed by say your LLM type AI models, it's just highly inefficient code, but it's the only way to do it. It's just basically a billion if else statements. So there's no way around that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in that way, it doesn't surprise me. It just the sidelining of Barnaby Joyce is what kind of confused me though, because I thought basically that the Nationals said no, we're sticking with net zero, and that was the reason why Barnaby felt he had to leave the party. So it's just. Yeah, it's a little unusual that so soon after his sidelining, all of a sudden the Nationals are kind of holding a gun to the Liberals' heads and saying, you've got to scrap this. The other thing that was confusing was, well, remember, the Liberal Party and the National Party had a divorce. It was a very temporary divorce. But we know that net zero and disagreements on net zero was a huge factor in that temporary divorce. So I just assumed that because they'd patched that up, that it wouldn't be made an issue so soon after they had their little breakup. But here we are. Now, I'm not complaining. Yeah. This is good. This is... I've often said that like the only policy area where the Liberals can genuinely show that they're better than Labor is energy. And I'm certainly not saying a lot better, but better. That, sort of came to an end with Scott Morrison back in 2019, was it, that I think he went for support for net zero? Can't remember. But yeah, that was the point where I just said, look, the Liberals have, or the coalition collectively, have essentially made themselves a carbon copy of the Labor Party at that point. So it's one thing.
I wouldn't necessarily say better. I would just say less retarded.
You could put it that way. Well, look, to give further detail on that, they have not ruled out supporting nuclear power and thus removing the prohibitions that we have against nuclear power and uranium mining. But they even said that they wouldn't rule out subsidizing coal-fired power stations. And that seems to be the one pissing the Greenies off the most because, they just want to see the end of coal like tomorrow. And, it isn't all that far away considering how many plants and mines we've already shut down. here in Australia.
Look, and I'm seeing in the engineering field people banding about these Nitro style or Nitero style coal power plants, like a medium sized coal power plant that's pretty simple to build, and the main selling point is it can be retrofitted to be a nuclear power plant.
Okay.
So that's the one they're going for. So basically, they build them near sources of water as coal power plants, and then which I imagine there's going to be some environmental screeching about that. But then, yeah, later down the line, you convert them to nuclear.
The coalition really need to counter the scare campaign that Labor mounted on nuclear power, because in the last election with Peter Dutton, they did a terrible job at it. Labor was telling everyone that nuclear power would cost $600 billion, which is a complete fabrication. But the Liberals never got on top of that. They never properly countered that. And, they should have done two things. One, they should have emphasized the costs of nuclear power plants overseas, because they're nowhere near that expensive. And secondly, they should have said, well, okay, how much are green energy projects costing us? In two ways. I mean, how much is it to actually build them? But then also, how much extra are we paying through our electricity bills?
Yeah, like an earnest cradle to grave on both options would be very illuminating. I've seen multiple instances, and it's like total unsubsidized, green energy comes up to something like nearly $2 a kilowatt hour. And like nuclear, it's like 80 cents or some shit.
Yeah, and that's not too hard to communicate to normies.
No.
Just very
dollar
basic
sign
figures like that. Right. And just think of when the Liberals convinced everyone that interest rates were going to go up under Labor, and they crunched the numbers on that, and they're like, how much extra would you pay on this mortgage if interest rates went up by 1%, by 2%, by 3%, by 4%? They could have done that, but they didn't. They effectively ignored it. And that's one of the reasons anyway they lost. So, yeah, they better make sure they mount a decent propaganda campaign if they want to actually sell this to the public. But no, I mean, power prices are continuing to go up, and people are angry about that. So
people are getting obliterated.
Yes. Okay.
Ugh.
Okay, so going to the States now, we've got the same debate happening. So this is, the dominoes are falling. So in New South Wales, and we've definitely got some stories on the Libs and the Nats in New South Wales today. They've said that they want to ditch net zero as well. Mark Speakman said that, he wanted to keep it. And
Speakman's Twitter profile right now is a fucking nightmare because he got rid of he doesn't have any staffers currently, so he's just boomer posting.
Well, he stepped down.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He stepped down yesterday, I believe, and now we have Kellie Sloan as the leader.
It's fucking nuts.
So I apologize for not really having this in my prep because I haven't had time to update it today. But yes, in the time since we were meant to do the show, New South Wales has gotten a new opposition leader. Anyway, I'm not sure. Let me just Google this quickly. But I'm not sure what they've said about net zero under Sloan. Let me just.
I don't know if it's been soon enough to get a statement on that. Long enough.
Yeah. Okay. So from what I'm reading here, the answer is no. The Libs don't really have a a definitive answer on this. I mean, Mark Speakman did a few days ago say that they absolutely remain committed to net zero, but he's not leader anymore. So, essentially everything is up in the air. What is clear, though, is that just like at the federal level, the Nationals are opposed to it, and that is causing strain within the coalition in New South Wales. It's causing strain in the coalition in Victoria too, who the Liberals also have a new leader over there that we'll get to later. And what's really sad about this, the Nationals, who are trying to convince the Liberals to ditch net zero in New South Wales, are now being led by a Sikh, Pajeet.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Why?
Okay,
it's happening, boys. It's happening. The enshitting is happening.
It didn't take long at all. Now, I don't know if you know about this stuff, Nolsey, but Pauline Hanson has said that without coal-fired power stations in Australia, Australian data centres would go bust. And she's saying that when it comes to the storage of data, a country like China is doing very well because they just, they've got all the dirty coal over there that they burn. And this means that Australia's data security is at risk, essentially.
Oh, national security too.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, we live in a digital age, so it's and basically the economy of storage, how many dollars per, so many gigabytes, so many terabytes is directly related to the electrical cost needed to run that server stack in the first place. You see these big server stacks and cooling racks and refrigeration systems. They need that fucking cooling because those machines are consuming an absolute shit ton of energy, and although relatively efficiently, a percentage of that is just put out as heat, and you need these large refrigerated facilities to maintain that data, to maintain function. So yeah, they consume electricity going in and going out. It's like every single industry is the health of every single industry or the economy is very much related to the price of the kilowatt hour.
Of course, yeah. Well, just like what we were saying with AI as well. It's not like we're creating less demand for electricity. No, there's more and more every day. Yet we're making it harder and harder to produce electricity, and more expensive too. Now, so Australia has finally given up on this idea that we were going to host the COP31 summit in Adelaide. This is like the global climate change summit, which is just, to get all these top tier politicians and celebrities as well. They love doing this shit, to fly over on their private jets that emit a heap of carbon and just basically wank themselves off over how good they are at creating environmentally friendly policies, even though it's just a huge waste of money. So I don't know if that plays into the government's decision here to say, okay, we're not really that passionate about it. It's being held in Turkey now.
Yeah, the current one being held in Brazil was like firebombed today.
Was it?
Yeah. COP30 climate talks evacuated after fire breaks out. The UN climate talks COP30 have been evacuated due to a fire breaking out inside the venue in Belém, Brazil.
Right, okay. Oh, and get this. There's going to be a pre-COP31 event that is hosted by a Pacific Island nation. We don't know which one.
God.
But it's going to be one of them. Are you sure that the ocean isn't going to submerge it before then?
Who knows, man? I've been hearing about it. That is going to be the biggest fucking... Dude, the symbol for that fucking conference should be a dude panhandling. Like, literally. Fucking serious, man.
Like, Turkey will probably have to pay for that themselves. But this Pacific Island nation, no. That'll be like fucking 30% paid by us, I would say.
Yep.
And, then the host nation will benefit from tourism without actually having to cover the costs themselves. So, but no, I mean, nothing ever comes of these meetings. A lot of people thought that it was one of these summits that spelled the end for Kevin Rudd because he wasn't able to negotiate with the Chinese effectively. And that was when I think he called them Chinese rat fuckers or something like that.
You gotta love his autistic rage sometimes,
Yeah, and that coupled with the fact that he couldn't get like an emissions trading scheme done in Australia, sort of meant that one of the pillars of his campaign, that is fighting against climate change, he was dismally failing on.
And then Mark Liebler gave him the kiss of death.
Yeah, well, that was around the time that Gillard started to, shore up her support behind her for the eventual knifing.
I still love the recordings of him going absolutely batshit crazy at his staffers.
Yeah, well, there was one in particular that got out where he was trying to read something in Chinese, and like the language was too complicated for him, and so he kept making mistakes, and he was just
had like a Bill O'Reilly moment.
Yeah,
and also do it live.
The fact that footage leaked, it was obviously someone in his inner circle who leaked it. They would have been the only ones who had it. That also shows how much he was disliked. Like his own staff hated him, so they would, leak against him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we've actually got two stories here on Rio Tinto. So there is the Tomago aluminium smelter, which is owned by Rio Tinto. It employs over 1,000 workers, and it is in danger of shutting down. And the reason is quite simple. It's not profitable because of increasing energy costs.
Yep. I think I brought it up last time. As well. Like, there's basically, we're losing our metal smelting industry like as much as we have it here still. So we still do quite a bit of nickel as well, and nickel's going as well. But aluminium is when aluminium was first being industrially produced, it was called condensed electricity.
Okay. Well, now we just need it to make vaccines, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just put shit tons of aluminium in the vaccines. No, but look, the Labor Party has said that they are going to try everything they can to keep this going, and also they've said that they are considering the possibility of an energy supply deal with Snowy Hydro.
Jesus.
So they're saying Snowy Hydro could offer Rio Tinto clean energy at more competitive prices. What are you talking about? It's like we've been constructing that for 10 years, and it's nowhere near finished yet. They haven't even finished tunneling the holes.
No. We're just going to discover a new. We're going to discover a new type of rock that needs a completely different set of heavy duty equipment, so we can stop and fuck around a little bit more.
Yeah, and last time I checked, it was more than $10 billion over budget. So, okay, no. Basically, what you're going to have to do is provide them subsidized energy. That's the only thing, really.
Yep.
I can't. Just like you provided subsidies for everyone else, giving them an electricity credit on their bills. I remember saying at the time when they promised to take electricity prices down, I said, you watch, this will simply mean the government will just subsidize it for you. And that's exactly what happened at the federal and the state level. And that is what's going to happen here, because they don't have a snowball's chance in hell of the Snowy Hydro offering them like 1 watt of power. That's just not happening.
No.
Okay.
I'd be surprised if it ever produces one fucking water power.
Okay, so this other project, this is one still in the making, a $215 million research centre. So it was supposed to be a staging ground to demonstrate Australia's ability to move towards net zero. You know where it is? It's in Rockingham, South Perth.
Yep.
That's one of our notorious bogan suburbs, by the way.
Go there if you want your car to be stolen.
It's changing. It's not as bad as Armidale. Armidale's still as bad as it always was, but Rockingham has improved.
Apparently, Mandra's getting up there with meth use. There's the methiest city in I don't know. It still fronts me as like a retirement area though.
Well, that's what I mean. There's good parts of Rockingham and Mandurah, and there's bad parts. But Armidale is just one big bad part, you know.
Yep.
So Rio Tinto is actually handing it over to Calix, which is an Australian technology company, and along with a $35 million investment in its zero-emission steel-making technology. That's right, and also this thing called bio-iron. So this is a brand new product the mining giant has spent more than a decade developing, and that's basically been scrapped as well. They said they're going back to the drawing board. This is basically a green type of iron, or that's what they say it is.
I think this reads like it was made off. Yeah, this reads like it was made up by the marketing department, to be honest. You get steel by getting fucking, red earth and blasting it at insane temperatures with carbon. That's what you do. It's pretty much the only way to get it.
So again, there's another project or two projects really that have bitten the dust. Okay.
Yep.
Now, here's a light-pilling story. So, if you've heard of VicGrid, this is basically, transmission lines, electricity lines that they're building throughout rural Victoria. This is to accommodate the green energy projects that are putting power onto the grid. And they have to basically access the property of lots of farmers who are living in these areas. And they do have permission from the government to enter those properties. They're not seizing the properties, but they are entering them, and they are allowed to at least construct part of the transmission lines on their properties. So it's sort of a form of eminent domain. So they're trying to access 29 properties altogether, but they haven't been able to get on there yet because all of those farmers and other people in those communities have basically formed these human shields around the properties. And the staff from VicGrid have not been able to get in. So,
no, that's good. It's good to hear. The ABC yesterday was pontificating about the idea of maybe there could be native title reforms that allow for joint cooperation with the government for more basically to allow them to have more power to just take and build stuff on private land. But it's good to see we won in this. There's a win in this case.
Yeah, and I mean, these are the same people who have been driving into Melbourne and even to Canberra to protest this stuff for years now. And they're showing that they're serious. Look, unfortunately, though, I'm going to say that they'll probably lose this battle.
Long term, yeah.
But, at least they're putting up a bit of a fight. So, that's good. At the very least, that's good to see. Okay. Well, if you want a bit of a report card on, how we're doing globally in terms of carbon reduction, well, it's not very good. Fossil fuel is still growing globally, but total human-caused carbon dioxide emissions are expected to dip slightly by the end of 2025 because of a decline in deforestation. Okay, so I mean that's a form of carbon offset, I guess.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually mean we're burning less fossil fuels.
I remember someone throwing around a stat that says like China builds a new coal-fired power plants like every 2 months or some shit. Some like absolutely wacky fucking number.
Yeah, I've heard something like that. So yeah, I mean, we're not following other countries. Maybe we're following the lead of some Scandinavian countries and Germany, but this is not some kind of global trend that the whole world is jumping on, and China certainly is not. Yeah, the report card is not very good, and one of the points that Susan Lee was making was that, look, Labor promise you two things. They say that your power prices are going to go down. We know, obviously, that is not true, but it's also not true that emissions are going to go down. They have not been able to achieve that, and how could they? I mean, just about every episode, we go through and report on some project that has been scrapped, some kind of green energy project or whatever. So on the government's own projections, that's all under the assumption that these green energy projects will actually meet completion and actually get power on the grid. But when they all get closed down or scrapped, obviously they can't make those targets. So, yeah, I mean, Labor definitely is not giving you that.
Well, yeah. I think it's just a matter of like the time scale of it. Like are these? Look, I just straight up doubt that most of these projects are going to go online in the first place. Do we have one?
Oh, yeah.
We've had a lot of testers. We've had a lot of test sites, but I don't think we've had like a proper project.
Do we have a proper hydrogen plant in this country?
I don't think so.
Yeah, like we have like blueprints for shit tons of them, but we never actually get one. Okay, and finally, on climate and energy, the WA government has been accused of altering a secret report it commissioned to support its claims that the state's domestic gas production will help Asia decarbonize. So this is basically the gas that we sell to Asia, which encourages them to give up on coal because gas is a lower emitter fossil fuel, basically. So yeah, this was put together by Deloitte, and apparently the WA government has tampered with it.
Wow.
Because probably the report said that it's not really going to make much of a difference at all.
Well, yeah, we're sending off a fossil fuel to an industrializing nation. That's definitely going to help decarbonize.
I mean, what the Greens say is kind of true. When they say like, all right, yeah, we do prefer gas to coal, but there's still not that much of a difference in terms of how much emissions there are.
Yep.
I mean, they're lower.
I mean, you're burning a hydrocarbon or just a carbon, amorphic carbon. That's the only difference is like there's some amount of extra energy being burnt up in the hydrogen bonds. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not much at all. Okay,
No.
so on to the related topic of the environment. It seems to be that they're back to the drawing board when it comes to the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. Now, this is the act that a lot of people are afraid is going to result in an EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, which has, been seen as draconian in terms of its operation in the United States. So people don't want it here. Now, Labor have indicated that, no, we're not going to have that. And also we're not going to have what they call a climate trigger, which means that that board could just unilaterally say, no, this project, we're not giving it permission.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, the business lobby is currently encouraging the government to work together with the coalition and not with the Greens or the Teals or much of the other crossbenchers. They want them to kind of work together. And this also sort of would give the Liberal Party a chance to shine as well. Because of their recent dumping of net zero.
Yeah.
Now that is precisely why the Labor government would not want to cooperate with the coalition, though.
I think they're going to be. I think they will eventually be dragged kicking and screaming into following the coalition's recent changes in position on this. I don't think it's maybe not next election cycle, maybe not the one after that, but possibly 3-4 years time.
Because the writing will be on the wall in terms of like emissions reductions. I'd like so bad that even if you doctor the reports like the WA government does, still the numbers are actually going to be so bad that there's no way you can spin this to the public. You have to actually change your goals.
Yep.
Yeah. No, yeah, you definitely got a point. Yeah, I think it'll be a while off. And I'd say that in the meantime, they would revise the earlier deadlines like 2030, 2035. They'll tinker with them a bit. But yeah, I mean, the idea that we would actually get to net zero by 2050, everyone knows it's a joke. No, anyone who's serious about this and actually reads the news properly knows that we are not going to ever get there.
No.
Unless you turned Australia completely Mad Max, maybe then you'd get there.
Completely deindustrialized to the point of being in the fucking Stone Age. I don't know. Campfires emit a bit of CO2.
Right.
Pastoral livestock emit a bit of CO2. Who knows?
Okay, now the business lobby also says that when it comes to fines that are issued for violations of our environment laws, those fines should be a lot less. So they're complaining about things like very often companies accidentally, break the law or don't meet their obligations. And they're always met with these massive, massive fines as a result. The business lobby is saying, well, look, that's just making the cost of business so much more. And also, they always just have to tread very lightly. They're, very reluctant to actually go for the next stage of development because they're afraid that they'll endanger some endangered snail or some fucking thing.
Yeah.
And there's so much bureaucracy that they have to deal with to make sure that they're not actually breaking the law. And even then, sometimes they find out that they have, and then they're issued with a massive fine. So, I don't want to shill too much for the business lobby, but I get that. Because some of our green tape laws are pretty ridiculous.
They're greedy, but when it comes to lining the pockets of their constituents, they're not retarded.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about immigration. And amazingly, we are talking about the deportation of a white South African. So I just wanted to say, to start this off, a lot of people have obviously been talking about, is there a way out of this? Is there an avenue of appeal for Matthew Gruter? Yeah, no, there's not. The reason why is because if you have a look at immigration law in this country, there are many areas where if the minister does not like a decision or whatever, they can simply intervene. The minister has a lot of unilateral power under the Migration Act. And when it comes to, say, things like cancelling a visa on character grounds, the minister has a right to do that. It can go the other way as well. That's how the Tamil family were able to stay here, because they were granted permanent residency, if you want an example from the other side. But yeah, look, I hate to be a black pillar, but no, Matthew is going back to South Africa, and there's really nothing we can do to stop that.
Yeah, I talked to Johanna Zagenbach about that, last night, and also with some other stuff about South Africa. But it looks like we've organised like as soft as a landing as possible on that side. And I think the main objective now is to make it as painful as possible, like every step of this way. But just in regard to the Tamils, right? If you're a ethnic Tamil and you're in a Western country, you're here because you are a terrorist. You are literally the Tamil Tigers was like CIA or Western intelligence backed terrorist. Just to let you know. So Matthew Gruter,
who invented suicide bombing? It wasn't Palestinians. Yeah. It was the Tamil Tigers.
Yes. So we got the unnamed Tamil father who was very obviously a fucking terrorist and most definitely has blood on his hands, versus Matthew Gruter, non-violent, non-criminal civil engineer. And I understand because I knew people in the area where that Tamil family was settled. That family doesn't work.
No,
they got like nearly $1 million property and they don't work.
And in Perth, isn't it?
Yeah, it's up north of the river.
Weren't they supposed to settle in regional Queensland?
No, because remember we got so many puff pieces about like, oh, my two daughters like won't have massive like opportunity to do stuff if we settle in a regional area. And the cop out is that like all of WA is considered regional, including the Perth metro area.
Yeah. Those visa purposes, yes. So is South Australia.
Yeah, so they gave them $1 million property, and they can just sit on their ass and get paid.
And compare that to this guy who is over here with a young family. He's been chucked into a detention centre while his poor wife
with criminals.
While his wife has to deal with a newborn baby and being told to book flights and pack everything up as fast as she possibly can because they are getting the boot. Now, I mean, can anyone imagine like actually doing this to a POC? I mean, it was precisely this kind of stuff, like defending when we came to people like Alan Jones defending the Tamils, or Barnaby Joyce defending the Tamils. They were trying to tell us that the only reason why they're being treated this way is because they're not white. And yes, Barnaby Joyce even said that. Well, you're right that people who are white are treated differently by immigration and the Department of Home Affairs. They're absolutely right about that. But it's the inverse of what they're saying. They're the ones who get chucked into detention centres with criminals, and then their partners are told to pack up and fuck off as quickly as possible.
Gotta love it. Gotta fucking love it.
But also I think they hate, like, the fact that when they dox these guys, it's not the unemployed loser Nazi stereotype that they all want it to be. This is a guy who actually has a family, who has a good job, who does not have a criminal record. So he's actually a upstanding member of society. I think they just hate that fact as well.
Oh yeah, that pisses them off. Jordan and I have said quite a few times, like, you look into this movement and you find like he made the motives like, you find a disproportionate amount of engineers.
You do.
He was ruminating on like how the fuck that was the case. I think like Hugh, myself, and Jordan, we were all speaking while I was playing a video game. And we came up with like there's like you can split this group into two categories: common sense patriot and disgruntled elite.
Yeah, no, it is to an extent because we're at a new stage of the migration cycle where the middle class is actually being threatened by foreign labor. Engineers are afraid that an Indian is going to take their job, and rightly so. So yeah, that's another reason why the ranks of the white nationalist movement are growing, because the middle class are becoming disgruntled.
Yeah, no, it's a new age. It's definitely a new age. I mean, we harped on about that 5 fucking years ago that was going to come, and we're seeing it now.
We are. And to all the engineers that have recently joined us, welcome. But you should have jumped on board like a long time ago. You shouldn't have just jumped in just because it's affecting you. You should have been able to see this coming and see it affecting the people around you.
Oh, and make sure you got your PR at least.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that Thomas Sewell would be well advised to revoke his New Zealand citizenship, because who's to say they won't try something like this on him one day? And there's already like a public petition to deport Thomas Sewell. It comes up as a predictive search in Google if you type his name in.
Yeah.
The one way they can take your citizenship is if you obviously have dual citizenship, but also if you are considered to be a terrorist. Now,
which I believe there's a piece of paper on someone's desk in the halls of bureaucracy that has that written on it.
Right. And would the government accuse Thomas Sewell of being a terrorist? Of course they fucking would.
Oh yeah.
So
actually, I found that funny as all hell too.
Revoke that citizenship. You need to get rid of it. Seriously.
Yeah, it's like the parallels between myself and Thomas was like is like a born New Zealand, South African parent, like migrated to Australia at like basically the earliest age possible. It was like, okay, that's probably why I got along with him so well.
Oh, all right. Oh. Yeah, I'm different. I was actually born here.
Yeah.
But my parents were definitely fresh off the boat, off the plane, whatever. Okay.
Oh, they came on a $10 ship or $10 seating in the stowaway area. What's that part of the Titanic that they had all the poor Irish on?
Yeah, that didn't work out well for them. No, my parents did come to Australia via New Zealand though, and
yeah,
I don't know. My parents told me that I was conceived in New Zealand. I don't know if I really needed to know that, but so I have a vague connection to New Zealand, even though I've never been there.
Yeah, it's okay. It's scenic. It's probably the best way to just describe it.
Yeah, but look, this guy was also raided, like the day after, and something I thought we had doxing laws now in this country that made it.
Oh yeah, they're weirdly absent. They are weirdly absent. And that's because I think I brought this up, but all of this is being done by this new branch of the Australian Federal Police called the National Security Investigations Department. And the mission statement there is I'll see if I can find the articles like Australia versus the agenda. They're relatively new, and their mission statement is to basically disrupt people and organizations that they believe are targeting the social cohesion of Australia.
Right. Even more money to waste on surveilling groups that are not breaking the law at all.
Yes, that is explicitly in their mission statement. They're not focusing on criminal activity.
Yeah.
Specifically non-criminal.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how, they're going to justify the funding, because the thing with ASIO was, at one stage, they admitted that about 50% of their resources were being expended on, what they call the extreme right in Australia. But then, Burgess had to actually admit, well, look, these groups actually just focus on recruiting and doing their events. They're not planning terrorist attacks or anything. You said that. He admitted it. So that was when, they started actually cutting the amount of resources that they would spend. So how do you keep the heat on us? You have to find something else. It needs to be something outside of ASIO or the AFP or whatever. And so you have that outfit who say, yeah, well, we're here for people who are not breaking the law. What a fucking joke. Okay.
It's brand new part of the Australian Federal Police. Brand new part. So that's there for us. Unfortunately.
Okay, now, in other immigration news, Susan Lee said they will release their immigration policy and directions. So it'll be immigration principles and directions rather than a fixed net migration number. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yep.
Principles and directions. So look, I don't have any hope here. One thing I heard the commentators say was, look, her leadership is secure for now because she's kind of given, the Conservatives in the party what they want. So it wouldn't be a good look if they were suddenly to launch a leadership challenge. So if that's true, then doesn't that mean that Susan Lee has already given them what they want? And that would mean that there's not really much room for negotiation in terms of lowering migration. But I would make another point. The idea that the Conservatives in the party are actively lobbying Susan Lee to decrease migration numbers just as hard as they were lobbying to get rid of net zero, I just don't buy that. I don't think it's true. Okay. So, no, I don't think there is like this kind of tension within the Libs or the Nats for that matter, where you've got like a left-right divide bickering with each other behind the scenes about how we need to either cut immigration or keep it as is. I just don't see that there. So she's going to come out with something very vague, talking about, talking about the need to keep cost of living down, house prices down, the labour market not threatened by overseas workers and everything. But there'll be no targets in it. There'll be no figures. And she'll basically just carry on as Labor have and every other coalition prime minister since Menzies.
Yeah, no report, no figures, no numbers, no actions. That'll be that.
Okay, and finally on migration, the Home Affairs Department missed 17 of 82 performance targets that it set for itself last year. And this is amid a new report reporting an increase in critical incidents. So that includes things like sexual assaults, escapes, and riots. Okay, so they're not handling it that well. It also shows how many criminals end up in these detention centres. And by the way, simply just arriving here illegally is a criminal activity. Okay, I don't care if they weren't doing anything else. That in itself is breaking the law.
Seeking asylum is a human right. Actually, I fucking saw one of those videos of those Assad era Syrian refugees who are in the UK, and basically, obviously now there's been like a revolution, etc., and the government in the UK is actually going through and sending them back. Not really, but it made the gesture to do so. And then you got this woman be like, I don't want to go back. I want to PR. I want PR now. PR now. Stay in UK.
Yeah. Now, well, look. The other thing that makes me think that this might be exaggerated a bit, and these, these gulags, as lefties like to call it, are not quite the hellholes a lot of people say they are, was that the report also contains 12 incidents of unwanted sexual remarks. 12.
12
of people just saying something like deemed offensive in a sexual manner. Like, come on. That would happen on like your average workplace, like every day.
This is the file from the HR department.
Yes. Okay, so this is, I think, the first time I've actually written White Australia in the prep, as in White Australia, the organisation. So we all know about the demonstration outside of New South Wales Parliament, so I don't think I need to fill anything in on that. I did want to say, though, that I find it hilarious that the New South Wales Police issued permission to do it, but they did not inform their commissioner. And as a result of that, the government didn't know this was going to happen. So I'd say more than one person in New South Wales Police was fired as a result of what happened here. But anyway, I thought it was great. A lot of media attention. It was also great when Chris Minns said that we needed to starve these people of oxygen, and then he's like, even though I know we're giving them oxygen right now in this press conference.
Chris Minns can't help but fucking flip his lid at any given opportunity.
Yeah, he's like that kid in school where, like, if you taunt him, he just always bites back, like he's so easy to get a reaction out of.
Bit of a lol cow.
Yeah. And so I think people have actually been vandalizing his Wikipedia page, saying that he's of Ashkenazi Jewish heritage.
Yeah, I thought that was the case for a while, just because of his behavior. But no, I've been told in multiple instances.
I can see how you think that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just like, whoa, buddy. And then also there's like a billion photos of him wearing yarmulkes for some fucking reason.
Well, yeah, but that's like every premier and every prime minister. I mean,
I remember seeing like the look of like disappointment in your fellow white man that one time that we're at like a bar or something, and someone said that John Howard was Jewish because there's a photo of him in a yarmulke, and you just looked at him with like just disdain. It's like, you fucking retard. That's like the most disappointed I've seen you in my entire life.
Every now and then, like, someone says something silly like that. I'm like, I don't know. It's like I would love to say that John Howard is Jewish, but no. But I remember I asked that guy. I was like, "Why do you think that?" And he goes, "Because I saw a picture of him wearing a yarmulke." And I was like, "Dude, come on, let's do that." Yeah. I bet I can find like pictures of yarmulkes on every prime minister for the last 20 years.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like You know, like they go to like these big conference things, and then they put on the yarmulke. Maybe they go to Israel and kiss the wall, and then they tell them exactly all the stuff that they're going to get promised, all the promises and all the free stuff they're going to get. This is how I'm going to redistribute the taxpayer money to you.
Yeah, I mean, and in the Sydney rally, they were talking about how politicians are wined and dined in Israel, all expenses paid, trips, and you can see how people think, oh yeah, the Jews must be pretty good then, eh? Look at what they did for me. It's just a sophisticated form of bribery. So anyway, look, Crispin said, he's like, look, we don't have the same kind of free speech protections that they have in America. And then, he starts talking about the balance between free speech and the right not to have to put up with this kind of hatred and division in public. And so he's actually said that they're working very carefully through new laws to restrict, they specifically named Nazi chants.
Yes, that's new legislation being pushed right now.
Like blood and honor is one that they want to get rid of. But he has noted that the legislation is going to take a while to be produced because of the fact that they know these laws would be challenged in court. So they're trying to word it very, very carefully so that these laws would actually be valid and the court wouldn't strike them down.
That's going to be a hard circle to fucking square.
Yes, it is.
Because this is definitely in the grounds of completely and utterly unfucking constitutional, because it goes directly against the right to political representation. Right to political speech. Sorry.
Well, yeah, also political communication as well.
That's what I was looking for. Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I was listening to Joel Davis, and he was saying, well, look, if you say we can't say blood and honor, we'll just say something else. I mean, they're not allowed to do Roman salutes, but they still make the presence in public. And one thing he can't do, he can't just say, like, Nazis are not allowed to hold a rally. He can't do that. He knows that. And so, therefore, he hasn't said it. If he had the power to do it, of course he would do it. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
But no, it's great to kind of see them squirming over there like that. White Australia has gotten the media attention that they wanted from it. They have contributed to the conversation about the influence of the Jewish lobby in Australia. And considering the fact that they have provoked such an angry reaction, I think that has prompted a lot of people of the public to say, well, maybe these people actually have a point. Because why are they flipping out so much? Why do they just go absolutely hysterical every time these guys hold a rally? Maybe it's because they consider them a legitimate threat and they've actually got a point. So, yeah. And the other thing also is that the Australian Electoral Commission has come out and said, yeah, look, in terms of White Australia registering as a political party, we can't stop them. Now, they're going to try what they can. So, you need 1,500 members before you can actually register. Now, this will actually mean that White Australia would need more. They would need about 2,000. And the reason why is because the AEC has the right to check up on every single one of those 1,500 members and see that they are real, that they are, that their name and address and phone number and everything all matches up. If they find inconsistencies, like a wrong address or something, they have a right to strike them off and say, no, this person is not a member. And so they can reduce the numbers that way. However, White Australia knows that. So they're waiting until they actually get enough, like a safe number so that they would still actually get 1,500 or at least 1,500 at the end of that process. So
look, it's been kind of announced that they actually are well over that number now, and yeah, they're trying to settle on that safe number. It was over the 2,000s mark, or at least Tom said he was looking for when I interviewed him a while back. But yeah, he was concerned. He was like, "Look, they're just going to be hyper litigious about this party." So
yeah, like they have to go that extra mile every time, but they can do it.
Yep,
and freaking out. Okay, so finally, the last bit of news, of course, is that Joel Davis has been arrested. As far as I know, he's still in custody. This time, he was actually arrested by the Australian Federal Police in Sydney. And from what I've gathered, it is specifically because of a Telegram post where he called on viewers to rhetorically rape Allegra Spender.
Because she's a retard.
Yeah. So she is the Teal member for Wentworth. And I heard Joel say that she is his member. So, geez. How'd you afford a property in Wentworth, Joel? That's and I must stress that's the most Jewish. It's the most Jewish electorate in the country. How did you end up there, Joel? Don't let TRS know that.
Oh no.
So, but anyway, no, I'm only pissing around. But yeah, no, this is ridiculous. I mean, he had the word rhetorically there. You know, I mean, that alone should mean that you know.
I'm just going to reiterate
there's an argument.
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate that there's a branch of the Australian fucking Federal Police that is now their one and only job is to fuck with people like Joel. So they don't fucking care. They know it's not going to stick. They just want to fucking like string them up, extend. They want to do what they always fucking do.
Well, the process is the punishment. Like in the end, these charges will probably be dropped, right? But, you know, they're going to have to go through the legal rigmarole. And something I must add here that I just read earlier was that Joel Davis is actually expecting a baby soon.
Yes.
I didn't know this. I had no idea. But yeah, him and his partner are due a child very, very soon. And he could be in jail while that's happening.
Right. These are things that were definitely taken into account when they decided their course of action, I guarantee you.
So he may not be convicted. You know, he may not actually do any jail time, even though he basically is. He may not be fined or anything, but he may well miss the birth of his first child. So there is still a punishment involved there, even though he's probably never going to be found guilty.
Fun.
Okay, let's go to foreign affairs now. So Vanuatu is planning to expel foreign advisors, including advisors from Australia. And this is an attempt to stop outside influence. So this is kind of surprising, actually, because, you know, Vanuatu is one of those countries we talk about, you know, who just get bribed all the time to vote with Israel in UN resolutions. And, of course, we throw heaps of money on top of them. Now, because of, you know, under the guise of climate change measures.
Yeah. Basically, like, so we're giving you money to not join the Chinese, and we're giving you money to stick out like a sore thumb in every UN resolution.
Yeah, that's right. So that explains why there's actually a very large Australian and New Zealand presence in Vanuatu. Because, yeah, it's part of the geostrategic bulwark against China. It's part of the reason why we bribe these countries. But Vanuatu is actually saying, hey, like, we're sick of like just being told what to do all the time. we might actually start to kick you out.
Well, yeah. I think that maybe on some issues they'll be able to do that, but I think we know a handful of issues where either intelligence from Australia or intelligence from somewhere else in the world will come and bitch slap you for doing it.
Yeah. We also have a what they call the Nakamal Agreement. Which is just like a security agreement, basically, between Australia and Vanuatu. And basically, it may well be that that'll just be torn up, essentially.
Yeah. You think this is a plea for more money?
Sort of, yes. But look, they also said that there is an increased amount of Chinese personnel who are embedded in their police headquarters.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Also, the Chinese police officers have been providing training. So this looks a hell of a lot like what's going on in the Solomon Islands right now.
Yep.
So this may well simply just be a pivot for Vanuatu, going from the Western axis to China. It may well just be as simple as that.
God fucking damn it. Oh well.
All right, so
if they're not on our side of the things, then we don't have to pay them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, look, no, if they end up going to the Chinese side, I won't give a shit. I really won't.
It's a bullshit geopolitical block right now, so
China definitely wants to dominate the economy of the Pacific. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But I don't think we're really going to get dragged into it. And I just cannot buy the idea that the Chinese would invade us. I just can't see that.
Well, from my understanding, that China gets exactly what it wants out of Australia. It gets resources, and the middle class, burgeoning middle class of China gets an external investment portfolio. I think everyone's fucking happy.
Why would China need to invade us when they're buying up all our property anyway? Through its citizenry. Okay. So, Penny Wong apparently is still demanding answers from the Laos government, and this is to do with the death of 2 backpackers who drank drinks that were laced with methanol. So they still don't really know how this happened. They were at a hostel or something like that, and they ended up just getting alcoholic drinks, but they had methanol in them, and they died.
Well, it happens in fucking Bali. It happens all over that part of the fucking world. That's why I suggest, if you're going to go out and abroad, fucking brand name and sealed, nothing else.
Yeah, but six people were killed all up. This was at the Nana Backpackers Hostel in Laos. Whew.
I think the story was one of the locals that was running in the hostel invited them to the bar section. He had some fucking pruno. He was like, "Oh, would you like to try this home brew stuff?" And obviously, being a dipshit possibly and not knowing what the fuck he's doing, because that's the case for a lot of people in that part of the world. Accidentally distilled methanol with the ethanol.
Yeah, something like that.
They did say the story.
Well, they said 11 staff were arrested.
Yeah.
So they're blaming the staff for it. However, there's been no charges or anything laid yet. So
I'll be pending investigation.
Finally, on foreign affairs, Press TV. Have you heard of them? They are a media network connected to the Iranian government, Well, they're state-owned. So
Yeah.
they actually operate they operate all over the world, but that includes Australia.
Okay.
So now they have been deemed to be like a foreign influence, which means they cannot operate here.
Ah, there
So
we
this
go.
actually,
I was expecting something as such.
yeah. So this actually means that if they were to continue like producing here in Australia, the staff can actually be arrested for that. So I think Sky Jews should be declared a foreign influence,
Yes.
and
I'd
you
like
should
I'd
arrest
like some I'd like some deep investigations into the boards and chair people of a lot of media corporations over here.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the economy. Well, beef producers in Australia have welcomed the fact that the 10% tariffs on Australian beef into the United States has come to an end. Unfortunately, many economists are predicting that this will not result in a reduction of prices. Unfortunately, the damage is already done, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. Now, that said, demand for Australian beef in the US didn't slow during that whole time, which meant they were effectively just absorbing the extra costs that were involved. I guess our beef is that good, eh?
Yeah, over in the States, it's you go to a steakhouse and like the top dollar item in most cases is like Australian, something certified tenderloin or New York strip.
Yeah. So, economists also say to us that domestic prices are more likely to be influenced by local weather, well, of course, and the tightening of local cattle supply. So, it seems that the tariffs didn't really affect it all that much. Other industries, though, like pharmaceuticals, are definitely more heavily affected.
Well, yeah, no. With anything that's livestock agriculture, there's always like a lag time when it comes to pricing and fucking with pricing, just because you're physically raising an animal.
Hmm.
So
So
it needs to be taken into account.
we've actually only got one other story on the economy, and this is over in Victoria, and that is there has been a report issued by the Business Council of Australia that said Victoria is the worst state in the country to do business. Now, of course, you've got the usual things in there, like payroll tax, excessive red tape and regulation, etc.
Yep.
But we certainly can't ignore the other aspect of this, which is increasing crime. The massive increase in machete attacks and assaults and even murder scared small businesses off. Or at the very least, it makes the cost of doing business higher. One thing, because, well, people are stealing from you. The second thing is, well, you have to invest in further security as well to keep the criminal activity down. So
I imagine the business insurance in the CBD area is brutal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. Like a lot of the time, people will say, "Oh, this area of America, that's some ghetto." The reason why it's poor is because businesses refuse to set up there. It's like,
Well, why is that the case?
Why do they refuse?
It's like the fucking cycle. It's just like, oh my god, a new store. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go steal from it. I know it closed down. Why am I in a food desert? It's like the cycle continues on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, we're not really used to seeing that in Australia because, luckily we haven't really had a significant African population. But that's changing. It's changing big time. And no amount of machete bins or community outreach programs is going to change that. The only thing that's going to change that is if we stop them coming in. Okay, now let's move on to housing. So obviously this is maybe you want to consider calling some suicide prevention line because none of these stories are good. So
when is it ever?
No, we never. Well, none of our topics really are very positive, but I find housing is definitely like the worst. I think out of the lot. So anyway, the property website Domain has just put out the results of their new report that has found that home buyers are abandoning their dreams of a freestanding house for townhouses and units.
Yes.
And yeah, like I've said many times before, the increased population density and how do you say it? High density housing in Australia is not voluntary.
Nope.
These people are only moving into like these apartments because it's all they can afford. So
the single family dwelling is like, look, you get two types. So I'll say you get three types of construction in terms of residential today. You get like the strata, units where it's like 10 units on like what would have been two single family dwelling residential blocks, say like late 80s era, purchased by them. Do that. A dual key, so a strata dual key. And the only green title shit that's being made in this country right now is McMansions.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I mean, one of the this report didn't just monitor what kind of properties people were buying. It also asked participants to say what they were hoping for. What kind of property did they want to actually move into? And they did not want to move into the properties that they're buying, but it's just all they can afford. Oh, that's right. So here's something else. Houses in the inner ring of cities are priced above buyers' search budgets in the 12 months to September 2025. And the ABC actually has a story about a couple who bought a unit in Brisbane. Unfortunately, they are a lesbian couple. But anyway, they took advantage of the 5% deposit scheme by the government, and they were able to buy a very small unit in Brisbane. And they say that now, only 6 weeks after buying that unit, it has already reached a price that was beyond their budget. So if they had
like
waited
50 grand
another 6 weeks, they would not have been able to afford it. And it's just a unit.
Yeah.
So that's how quickly the prices are rising.
We live in a fucking schizo situation right now, man. I know we've been harping on this shit for years, but like, fuck me. I see like the fucking despair even on fucking Reddit of all places, being like, it's like, oh, when is the housing bubble gonna pop? And it's like, well, well,
people have been talking about the pop of the bubble for like at least 15 years. It's not coming. It's just going to keep inflating. There is no pop coming.
God, fucking.
I mean, it would be possible to pop it if we adopted like a net zero migration policy. You could pop it then. The boomers would be fuming because it would devalue their properties massively.
Oh yeah,
but it actually mean. Oh, you know what else? A couple of weeks ago on Insiders, they were interviewing the shadow housing minister, and amazingly, he said that he wanted to see house prices go down. Now, I know a lot of people think, oh, what's so amazing about that? Well, both the Coalition and Labor never actually have said that before. They have
One,
simply
because
said...
because
they'll say that they want to make housing more affordable.
Yes.
And sometimes they'll say they want to slow the rate of growth in terms of rent and mortgage prices. But they never actually said that they wanted prices to go down. And why is that? Well, because there's too many property holders who vote for them.
Yeah, I was going to say the political class in this country is the property investor class.
Right. Yeah. So I was actually very surprised to hear that coming from the Liberal Party. Do I think they'll actually do anything serious about it? No, because, well, as I said before, I don't think they're serious on migration, and that's really the only way you can fix it. Okay.
Yep.
So, all right. Now, this story from the bloody ABC. So they're saying that Australia has a shortage of construction workers that is going to hit 300,000 by mid-2027. And unless we get those 300,000 positions filled, then we're not going to reach our goal of constructing whatever it is. I can't remember. Labor want like 1.2 million homes done in, only a couple of years.
Infinity Indian storage cell block, hyperdense bug pod.
Well, look, they make this point. They say the gap could be closed with more workers or with more innovations. In other words, robots to pick fruit. But, innovations in terms of building houses, well, that's like fucking modular homes, like Lego homes that are pre-built and you just kind of connect them together on site.
Yeah. We're going over to a framing, an American-style framing system, just because we want stuff that's easier to put up, easier to tear down, and relatively cheaper, and honestly shittier.
Well, the other thing is, it's at the expense of safety precautions that you take when constructing a property. And they've even said that some councils are looking to, expedite processes by issuing approvals without going through the necessary safety measures. So, that's obviously how they do things in the third world because their populations are always exploding, is they cut corners. And of course, we've got more and more Indians over here working on construction sites who are more than willing to cut those corners. So
no scam, sir. No scam, sir.
Sir.
Ugh.
No, not at all. Okay, now here in Perth, the state government has announced plans to cut red tape around high-density housing developments. That's around 10 train stations in Perth suburbs.
Yep.
So there you go. More massive apartment buildings to be built in Perth. And how about this? This is to do with regional areas of Queensland. This found that 38 out of the 50 regions in the state had a recorded vacancy rate of 1% or less. Now,
yes,
a vacancy rate of 2.5% is considered to be a tight rental market, but in the majority of Queensland's regions, it's less. It's 1 or less than 1%.
Well, again, even Drew Pavler was complaining about that, which kind of shows you how fucked it is.
Yeah, and he's probably got a guy who has a lot of money because the Jewish lobby pays him.
Yes.
So even he can't afford a property. Okay. All right, so onto industrial relations, and we're back in New South Wales here. Chris Minns has declared that it is over in terms of getting through controversial workers' compensation legislation. So look, basically, what this was about was there's been a massive increase in claims of psychological injuries. Because now we don't just talk about physical health, we talk about mental health. And so you
because the government made us all the government mentally damaged us all.
Yeah. Now,
the government has traumatized people.
Like, a lot of people say, well, there's just people faking it. Okay, I'm sure there are some people who are doing that, but just all you have to do is look at things like alcohol consumption, SSRI prescriptions, suicides, to know that people definitely have more mental health battles nowadays, for reasons I think we already know. So yeah, I don't doubt this, and so people who are on particular schemes have to pay their premiums, and premiums have been going up. That's just the basic law of insurance. The more payouts there are, the more premiums are going to cost.
Yep.
So Crispin said, well, look, we've got to stop this. And so it says here that the bar used to determine lifetime payments for psychological industries needed to be lifted from 15% to 31%. Now, I don't know if that's like a percentage measuring your insanity or something. Are you like only 15% like psychologically injured? I don't know what that bar and measure it.
What's the metric going to be here?
Yeah, all I know is it's harder. They wanted to make it harder to make the claim. Now, it looks like now they've got to strike a compromise with the crossbenchers. And that includes people like Alex Greenwich, the homosexual MP.
Alex Gay bitch.
This was voted down by the left, essentially, in the New South Wales upper house. They wouldn't tolerate this. I got to say, I'm torn on this. I don't know. I definitely support workers' compensation payouts, but just like when I look at the burgeoning of the NDIS, I know that we can't afford to just always just be giving people money when it comes to mental health issues. Like, that's such a band-aid solution, and it's such a knee-jerk response of government, just like, oh, mental health, let's just throw money at the problem. Like that's it. It's just a question of funding. It goes much deeper than that. So,
and I think one of the things is I don't think you can earnestly actually solve it really, completely. I think that the damage is just going to sit with us for an entire generation, and we're going to have neuroses for 100 years.
Right. I mean, unless we actually do something serious about increasing social capital. I heard some statistic the other day. Oh God, I can't even remember what it is. Okay, I won't cite a number, but I'll put it this way: there are an increasing amount of people who talk to chatbots daily because they don't have friends. So they literally just have conversations with ChatGPT. A workers' compensation scheme for a person like that, is not going to solve their problems.
Yeah,
it's just not. And Amazon having a mental health isolation booth for its employees. That is also not going to help them.
The crying station.
Yeah. Okay.
We just need suicide booths.
The inquiry into the Queensland CFMEU has started. So even though they're under administration federally, that's not good enough for the Christodoulou government. So they said there is widespread allegations of bullying, violence, and misogyny in the CFMEU.
I can believe it.
Yeah, but look, I mean, look what they say misogyny. When they say that, the CFMEU is in a lot of ways like a man's club, and I don't think they hate women. I think they more think that women aren't suited to the construction site, which they're not. You know,
my God.
and whenever you see them on a construction site, they're just doing traffic control. They're just doing, lollipop duties wearing a pink high vis. That's all they're doing.
Yep, that's pretty much the case. I saw one female scaffolder, which back in the day, which god damn, she was muscular. But yeah, no, that's like literally being in the construction industry for fucking yonks now. That's the only instances I've seen.
Right. So this inquiry will go for a year, and they'll have a report with recommendations, of course. But how many of these have we had? You know, how many royal commissions into the unions or into the construction industry have we had? And I think, it was the last Races War we did. We did a story about how there was some members in the Liberal Party who were saying maybe we actually need to back off the unions.
Yeah.
Because we're really in danger of looking like we just want to club lower people, the lower class, the working class. And, we don't want to give them working from home rights, and we want to lower their wages, etc., make their employment more precarious. And so we've got to do something about that. We've got to look a bit more worker friendly. And if you keep battering the CFMEU and holding all these inquiries into them, it's not a good look. And I honestly don't think that the union bashing that the Liberal Party in particular have been obsessed with in Australia, I don't think it's a vote winner. People don't vote for the Liberal Party because, they're anti-union.
No. They vote because they're misguided conservatives.
Yeah.
Misguided people.
And, look, the Liberal Party is not dead, as, a lot of people like to say. But that doesn't mean that the Liberal Party is going to pass any serious conservative policy. You could argue that's dead.
Yeah.
Tony Abbott wasn't even able to do that. What did Tony Abbott do about abortion or migration or gender ideology? He did fucking nothing.
He showed up to the beach in his Speedos. That's all I remember.
Yeah. Okay, and Queensland state teachers, are due to walk off the job. And that is for the second time this year. Again, they have failed to come to a deal with the Christodoulou government. Yeah, there's been a lot of public sector strikes in Australia over the last couple of years. And it's funny, there's how many strikes have you heard on construction sites? There's none.
Yeah, no action.
It's actually all coming from these much softer unions, like the teachers' union and transport.
That's not a long-standing thing. I remember in the early fucking 2020s, we had some real psycho shit happening. In terms of strikes.
Yeah, but in which industries?
Construction. There was walk-off sites because of the COVID rules. Or site walk-offs.
Oh yeah, there was that. Yeah, because definitely a lot of CFMEU members were very angry about vax mandates.
To the culminating in the they nearly killed John Setka.
Yeah, that footage is quite funny, actually. Oh. Anyway, Setka's gone now, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get on to Aboriginal news. So, Victoria has formally signed and formalised the treaty with the Aboriginal people of the state. Now, when you read about this, this has actually established a body as well. What is it? Okay, the First People's Assembly of Victoria. So that will provide advice to the state government and make decisions on matters that affect the state's Aboriginal people, but is still subject to parliamentary sovereignty. That sounds a hell of a lot like an Indigenous voice to me. I tried looking for detail on the actual treaty aspect here, and I couldn't really find any. Because remember, a treaty is basically like a formal truce between two warring factions, and it usually means one side hands over some goods. And yes, that just means money.
Yep.
So I don't know if those details are being covered up or whatever it might be. But one thing about it, though, is that that's supposed to be different from an Indigenous voice. So why are we getting that at the same time? And remember, we already have the Truth-Telling Commission in Victoria. We already have that.
Yep.
So that means like all three like key demands of the the Uluru Statement from the Heart, the voice, treaty, and truth-telling. They've got the lot now in Victoria. And Jacinta Allan has talked about how she was very moved that in the area that she grew up in as a child was actually the site of some massacre, some huge like mass slaughter of Aborigines. And yeah, look, go to quadrant.org if you want to read about this stuff. But the vast majority of massacre stories are either massively exaggerated or they're just not true. Sometimes it was just like police officers shooting dead Aborigines for stealing things.
Yeah, it was mostly theft. Like, even when they were doing the voice, they wanted the what's that? The fucking statue of that one dude over here, and like it was like, oh yes, he was a warrior, you know, da 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 da, and then like they got a statue of him wearing like traditional Aboriginal garb, and you actually look at him, he wore fucking normal English style clothes and was basically a serial thief and rapist.
Right. Yeah, he just kept targeting farms, and and now historians like Henry Reynolds will say, oh, Yagan was a resistance fighter. He was fighting European colonization of his land. Well, he wasn't. He was just stealing sheep. That's what he was doing.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, Noel Pearson, one of the biggest advocates for the Aboriginal voice, but he's also loved by conservatives because he talks a lot about getting Aboriginal people off of welfare and into work. So he's saying that we need to consider a Singapore-style fund to help the poor accumulate personal savings, and a nationwide version of the Cape York Responsibilities Commission to develop individual plans for disadvantaged kids. So yeah, I'm not sure how they run things in Singapore, but basically they want young kids to like start saving as kids, and like before they actually enter the workplace, and to have some kind of a fund that, well, they can't touch because otherwise it just piss it up. Yeah, look, I guess it sounds like maybe an all right idea. I hope they're not aspiring to own a house, though, because even white people who save quite frugally are struggling or have just been priced out completely. So don't worry about that. But yeah, look, I still think this would be one of these futile attempts. It reminds me of like the opportunities that Andrew Forrest wants to give them at Fortescue Metals.
Oh yeah,
it might sound good on paper, but
press button job, useless press button job.
right.
We got all kinds of fake jobs in this economy.
Oh, here's something interesting. Another reason to hate the UN. Now, the UN representatives have expressed concerns that West Australia's decision to reinstate the Aboriginal Heritage Act had the potential to impact on the human rights of Aboriginal people. So if you've forgotten this, we tried to replace the Heritage Act that goes back to the 70s, I think, with a new one that basically made it even more onerous for property owners to develop their property because of upsetting Aboriginal serpents and whatever the fuck else. But remember this, the guy who copped that massive fine for simply like building a very small walkway over a lake, and that was because he disturbed the rainbow serpent. I'm not joking.
Yes,
That is the actual reason why. He was not charged over the new laws. He was charged, under the new laws. He was charged over the original Heritage Act. Okay, so the original Heritage Act, the one that they reinstated, was already draconian. Okay, and here they are saying that going back to that system was impacting the human rights of Aboriginal people. Fuck off.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, again, like I'm not even joking. Like when construction companies are budgeting out how to do, what a cost of a house is going to be. There's literally an allotment for basically Aboriginals coming out and coming out with their hands open, expecting a payoff. There's an allotment for Aboriginal heritage. Go ask anyone in estimating and scheduling in this country; they'll back me up on that one.
Yeah, and look, the reason why the old act was reinstated was because the new act was basically meant that the very smallest thing that you wanted to do, like clear a bit of bushland or something, not only had to get the approval of the government, but you had to get the approval of whatever the local Aboriginal corporation was as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, that corporation will tell you, well, look, okay, we will give you approval if you pay us. That was the reason, right? Because, farmers in particular were fuming over these laws. And so the government caved in eventually. And the UN has the fucking gall to point its finger at us and say we're violating the rights of abos. Jesus.
Yep.
Okay.
We're meanies.
All right, now here's something that I could get on board with. So this is a proposition by the Minerals Council of Australia. Okay. This might be the second time I've sided with the business lobby this episode. But anyway, they want to make it so that Indigenous activists would need to prove their connection to sites they seek to protect. Now, part of this is that they would have to actually prove their Aboriginality. Because, as we know, we get a lot of fakers who come out and, they claim a connection to land to either stifle the development or get some kind of payment from it. I think that would be good.
They posted photos of the people that are looking to claim under Aboriginal heritage a good chunk of the Melbourne CBD, and they're all white people. And it was extreme right wing racists, extreme left wing ideologues, following the one drop rule for racial purity.
Oh no, man! All Aborigines in Melbourne are white.
Yes,
honestly, they're just all white, and they call themselves light-skinned Aborigines.
Yeah.
But they're saying, and with good reason, that there are activists who have what they refer to as untested cultural authority, which either means they're not Aboriginal or their claims to connection to the site is bullshit. And they're using the legislation to block projects. And sometimes Aboriginal groups actually support those projects. So what have you got going on there? It's green groups who are trying to block protests, even though the local Aboriginal group is saying, no, we want it because we get money out of it.
So it's weird how this all breaks down, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. So final story on Abos was, this one amused me a little bit. In the West Australian goldfields, there was a local government election. Of course, we had those recently. And the Aboriginal corporation in this area is contesting the vote because there was a member in these council elections who was actually voted in by one vote. They won by one vote. Not only that, but they said that polling booths in some areas of the Shire were closed early. So it seems like we have a bit of third world electioneering going on here.
Oh.
I mean, look, I don't know. I haven't read into this very deeply, but I do find it amusing that, this has happened in a place with a very high Aboriginal population.
Oh yeah, well, I do. But we're about to head into an era of this country where you don't even need to look into something that hard to find ethnic mandering.
No, not at all.
I guarantee you, with every time. Yes, I was about to say that. I guarantee you, like anytime you see fucking Singh or Patel in an election ballot on a ballot, that's what's happening there too.
Yeah, and if you thought there's too many suburbs and roads named after Aboriginal words, well, just wait.
You're about to see. Hold on to the fucking handrails, buddy. You're about to see some shit.
Yeah, there is already some heavy lobbying by Indians to change them to Indian names. So, in fact, I think there's already a couple. Okay. So let's go on to crime. Of course, we're going to start in Victoria. Now, Jacinta Allan, of course, has announced a raft of measures to combat the idea that she's soft on crime in Victoria. Now, we'll go through a few of them. So one is Victoria Police will ask officers to volunteer to do extra shifts patrolling shopping centres. And they're also going to be hiring reservist officers to make up for the low staff numbers they have in Victoria Police. They also don't want to put so many frontline officers just patrolling shopping centres. Now
they're about to become PvP zones.
Well, do you know what the police union called this? They called it a poorly thought out brain fart. Yes, that is what one of the representatives, anyway, from the police union has called it.
That's fucking great.
Anyway, obviously, many of these machete brawls that we have seen footage of recently has come from crowded shopping centres. So it's understandable how they would want to do that.
Yeah, of course.
So let's go through some of these other measures. So, so there will be new offences introduced. And this is to do with, this is targeting violent and abusive behaviour towards retail, hospitality and transport workers. And that would include jail terms of up to 5 years for assaulting or threatening frontline staff.
There we go.
So I
I
mean,
wonder what demographic they're talking about there.
Well, of course, yeah, and I mean, so we already have these kind of laws when it comes to like nurses and police and paramedics, that kind of thing. Uh, but yeah, now we're finding that just people simply working in retail are getting assaulted and threatened. And this is stuff that just basically didn't exist before. The worst they got would be rude customers. Now it's almost like they've got to expect to at some point be assaulted at work.
Yeah, we're seeing. Look, I mean, you saw it a couple of years ago when suddenly you had like the loss prevention crew, loss prevention store security went from like, oh, just some random fucking dude in a high vis vest to like some large dude with a truncheon.
Right. Okay, so this would give police new powers to charge offenders under a indictable offence for serious assaults, as well as lower level summary offences covering intimidation, harassment, and abusive conduct towards workers. Anyone who punches, threatens, abuses, or intimidates a shop assistant, waiter, bartender, rideshare driver, delivery courier, or taxi driver while they are performing their job will face criminal penalties. Ram raids will be recognised as aggravated burglary, carrying a maximum penalty of 25 years. Workplace protection orders could also be issued to ban violent customers from returning to the business.
All right.
So, yeah, they're getting serious in some of this. Jacinta Allan is also looking to follow the Queensland government in adopting the adult crime for adult time laws. So she's saying that children as young as 14 could be heard in adult courts and serve longer jail times.
How many years until this is called a pogrom?
Oh, right. And also adults who recruit children into violent gangs will face up to life imprisonment. This is a common thing actually. A lot of kids will say, like juveniles will say, they got into burglary because they did it with their dad or something. You'd be surprised.
I'm worried about that last one though. There's narratives going around about the boys that they're like, oh yeah, they target young individuals, and they are like basically calling them a gang and saying they groom kids. That's a narrative that gets bandied about today. So that last one is a bit concerning to me.
What about the kids they're going to be grooming at Shenton Park next week?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's all good and well. You know where I found that? Because I was the fucking guy who found that.
Wait.
Yes, because I was looking around at the libraries, and then that fucking popped up, and I was like, "Woo!"
Let's just considering we brought it up, we might as well cover it now. For those who don't know, in Shenton Park, which is one of our ritzy suburbs in Perth, there is a queer prom on Friday, 28th. That is ages 12 to 25.
Yep, I found it because a guy was basically this guy got his post fucking deleted, but from the archive, the guy was like, "Hey, like I don't want to come off bigoted here, but this is a really weird age range, man." Was instantly asking that, and he got fucking bodied. Reddit.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any protests going to happen for it, but I'll say there should be. There definitely should be. Anyway, yeah, look, you're right to call that out. I mean, I've always said that, any kind of criminal law or national security law that passes should always be viewed with skepticism, because even though you might think they're there to punish the right people, that can backfire, and those laws may actually apply to you instead. So, yeah, always be skeptical of this kind of stuff. But look, as I said before, all right, fine. Maybe we do need some tougher law and order measures. But that is never going to tackle the root cause of all of this. And the root cause is ethnic. So, it ultimately actually shouldn't be the responsibility of Jacinta Allan. It's the responsibility of Anthony Albanese and Tony Burke. You need to stop letting Africans into our country. That's how you prevent it. That's how you solve the crime crisis. And no, the Libs in Victoria are not going to make that any better.
But that's terrible. Okay. That's just something. That's the press to solve everything button, and you just can't press it because this button doesn't exist. You seen that photo going around?
Yeah. Now look, so there's already been this ridiculous reaction to these new policies announced by the Allan government. So the prison watchdog in Victoria has written a letter which, according to the ABC, is an extraordinary move. It's from the Victorian Ombudsman, saying that there has already been a 20% surge in complaints within prisons and youth justice services, so detention centres. Now, it's obvious why that is. There are more people in jail and more people in juvenile detention. And simply, if you have a higher prison population, you're going to get more complaints. That's obvious. And Marlowe here, the Victorian Ombudsman, is saying, well, look, if you've cracked down further on crime, we actually expect that those complaints are going to go up further.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, they would. Of course they would, because you're going to be putting more people in jail. Why is that a reason, not to pass these laws?
There'll be complaints about enforcing crime, so enforcing the law, so therefore we can't enforce the law.
It always just shows that these bureaucrats are like top to bottom almost are these bleeding heart types who only want a soft on crime regime that emphasizes rehabilitation. Oh, of course, and she wrote that in the letter. It said that this would all lead to less humane treatment of young inmates, less effective rehabilitation, and no improvement in community safety. Well, it would mean a slight improvement because we would incapacitate them by putting them in jail. But no, I mean, as soon as they get out, they're likely just to return to that life. And the African population is only growing, so therefore crime is going to grow. So yeah, you're right on that one. It's got nothing to do with these laws. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, God, right. So a new Commonwealth report has come out saying that all jurisdictions, so every state and every territory, should loosen their bail laws. Now, haven't we seen the catastrophic result of that in Queensland and the Northern Territory, where we had mass stabbings, where we had Africans and Aborigines stabbing people, robbing houses, and we had many of those offenders were actually out on bail. Some of them for things like rape and murder or manslaughter.
They definitely can be rehabilitated, though.
Right.
That day in court, it was a wake-up call that they really needed to turn their lives around. It's definitely not like a pathological thing that exists in every country that they are in.
Whereas, Thomas Sewell is denied bail for 72 days and has to stay in solitary confinement.
Then comes out of that and mugs the fuck out of everyone.
Queensland and Northern Territory basically had to put up with an enormous crime wave for the politicians to have the sense to actually return to the old bail laws. And now we have the Commonwealth preaching to all of them, no, you need to loosen your bail laws. Fuck off.
Terrible. Terrible.
Okay, now, here's definitely an example of laws that we should be skeptical of. These are laws against protesters in Victoria.
Yes. Wait until we got to this topic.
There will be increased police powers around protesters wearing masks and ban items from public protests, including locks, glue, and ban symbols and flags. So you can definitely tell that that's a mixed bag. It is targeting pro-Palestine
different people,
protesters, but it is also targeting us.
Yeah.
They don't want us to wear masks because they want to dox us and hopefully find out that we're a dual citizen or just on a visa and deport us. But things like glue, of course. Well, that's the climate protesters. Actually,
that is locks and glue. As soon as I heard that, I was like, "Yeah, I know who that's for."
Yeah.
This law is possibly a wrap it the fuck up. Like we're done with this. We're done with this psychological operation. Wrap it up.
But yeah, this
took them a while to do this.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, so like Chris Minns is moving immediately as a result of that White Australia rally outside New South Wales Parliament, but protesters like locking their heads, like around steering wheels and gluing their hands to the road. I mean, that stuff's been around for God knows how long. So, they've finally reached breaking point, I guess, because of the consistency of these protests. Yeah. It's like there's pretty much a protest every weekend now in every major city. So yeah, I mean the CBD is under pressure that way. You can definitely tell how it's bad for business. And when you do things like lock your head to a steering wheel, you can disrupt an ambulance trying to reach someone very quickly to give them emergency medical care. So yeah, it's like, okay, fine. Some of this I get, banning the locks and the glue. Symbols and flags, again, that's targeted at us. It's not like they want to ban the anarchist flag or the communist flag or anything. That's purely targeted at us. I guess actually, no, the Hamas or the Hezbollah flag.
Sometimes they get caught with a flag of a prescribed terrorist organization.
Yeah.
Like an actual one, not like Chris Minns who's having a whiny bitch fit today one.
Yeah. Okay, now on to illegal tobacco. So the crime watchdog has urged major banks to take immediate action to oversee FPOS sales that are used to launder dirty money from illicit tobacco stores. So this basically, when people make purchases of illegal tobacco, because a lot of them you can actually just buy at a shop. They don't. Yeah. They obviously don't advertise that they have the product, but you get word of it, and I don't know, say the password or whatever, and you can get it. And basically, they have ways of where you can pay for that product, but it looks like you didn't. It looked like you paid for something else. And that's.
I remember all the fucking tomfoolery that was happening during COVID to pay for stuff in cash, and basically get a receipt for it because you bought something else. Buying like a water. I remember all that fuckery. Buying like a water for $1 and then handing over like $4 more and getting like a fucking beer or something when they couldn't serve alcohol or some shit.
Yeah. So I mean, because of the sheer number of people buying illegal tobacco now, it is massive. It is like multi-million-dollar industry in this country now. The government really wants to crack down on that, and we've covered other things like there's like a task force out now on illegal tobacco, and you've even seen like people's businesses burned to the ground because like they were a competitor. And some
gang shit.
Yes.
Lebanese gang shit. I'm just gonna fucking specify that.
Right. Well, when these stories first started coming out, yeah, they were coming out of Western Sydney. It's kind of spread across the country, but yeah, it started there. And yeah, Lebs have got a huge role in it.
What's in Western Sydney that makes it so special?
I wonder. Okay, genuine trigger warning actually for this next story. This is bad. So this is a father who raped his 3-year-old daughter. He has demanded to be placed in a women's prison in Tasmania. And so the government has now declared they've actually had this policy on the books, but they hadn't announced it until this story came to light, that they have banned trans-identifying male prisoners from women's prisons. In other words, they've banned men from being sent to women's prisons. So this guy actually set up a camera to record himself engaging in sex acts with his daughter while he was dressed in women's clothing.
Why don't they just fucking explode him? Why doesn't this guy just go into the fucking complete annihilation chamber and just get exploded?
Well, the sad thing is, though, if he did this in Victoria, he would be in a women's prison right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what they do.
Man, I love having to have these moral quandaries about the very specific human rights of a, checks notes, baby rapist. I'm sorry, but you get convicted of that, you just lose your right to life. Like,
you should at least lose the right to your testicles, I think.
Yeah.
Do something that horrific.
And lose the right to go to a woman's prison and rape women. You got a rapist, and yeah, there's just literally just a matter of stay, as he fucking said. He could have been.
Well, thankfully they have taken that
right
away from him.
Yeah, okay. Thank fucking God.
Okay, now we've got proposed laws here in WA about banning people from boasting about their crimes online. This is called crimfluencing. Now, what they don't like about this is that this could criminalize, or perhaps not criminalize, but discourage unlawful assembly and breaches of the peace. So if you're, say, like filming a protest or something, you know, you are technically like filming and distributing footage of a criminal activity. But, you know, people say, well, that should basically be allowed because that's a price people are willing to pay. They're willing to get arrested. They're willing to get fined or whatever for, you know, standing outside a forest or something to stop it from being logged. So that's controversial. The other thing about it is, what if you're a news reporter and you're just simply recording a crime that, you know, has happened? So that's why these laws have been in the works for so long. They're trying to sort out all of the finer details of it. But no, we definitely do need laws. You know, Abo's posting stuff on TikTok, showing like how they stole a car and then set it on fire at the end of the night. Yeah, absolutely. Should be banned and should be criminalized.
Well, again, like we were covering that as it was happening, and then the thing is, you know, like, oh, people say like, oh, it's just to discourage like Aboriginal kids in rural areas stealing and torching cars and whatnot. And it's like, oh, well, what is it going to actually be used for? It's going to be used for, like, you know, political propaganda shit from parties that the government doesn't like. Let's be honest here.
Okay, so, oh God. Back to Alan Greenwich, the independent Sydney MP.
Gay.
Yeah, the guy who Mark Latham supposedly defamed by accurately describing his sex life.
He tried to defend Melbourne CBD, saying like it wasn't violent because he went to like this one hyper rich, super bougie area and got gelato. And then someone pointed out like literally a day later, some woman was stabbed and raped around the corner.
You know, oh God, I've got a genuine question for Mark Latham. He said it was disgusting of Alex Greenwich to stick his dick in someone's ass and cover it in shit. So I would like to ask Mark Latham, is it also disgusting for you to take shits on your partner during sex?
Yeah, that's
We have sworn affidavits that you actually did that on more than one occasion. So
yeah, we you shouldn't have admitted to that, man. I can't believe you fucking went and admitted to it.
yeah. Okay, anyway, Alan Greenwich has moved a motion in New South Wales Parliament to provide a legal defence for drivers taking medically prescribed cannabis. Now, it mentions that he recently disclosed his use of medical cannabis to treat post-traumatic stress disorder. Now, that, again, is actually to do with the defamation from Mark Latham. He basically said that Mark Latham made him so upset that he had to medicate himself by smoking weed. This is ridiculous. Weed makes you anxious. It makes you paranoid. It deteriorates your mental health. The idea that you can find a medicinal purpose to treat post-traumatic stress disorder is a fucking joke.
Yeah, what in
But
the
anyway,
fuck is going on?
I will admit this. If you've consumed marijuana, and you say you drive your car 1 week later and you haven't smoked weed for a week, it can come up in your system. This is what they don't like. The fact that marijuana stays in your system and shows up in drug tests for a long time, for weeks. So, I mean, I get that. I don't want people smoking weed, but yeah, I can see how that is actually like an unfair thing.
For most of these people, it's a lifestyle thing, though.
Yeah, look, he's not saying that like you should be able to drive your car stoned. Obviously, if you test positive for that, you've got blaring red eyes or something, then yeah, you'll still be punished for that. It's only if you have consumed it like a good while ago, like you've had at least one sleep since then. And yeah, okay.
There's probably ways to test for that level.
Yeah, I imagine there would be. Okay, now let's go to the Victorian Libs. So this was definitely another big story. Brad Battin has been given the boot. So he did say he wasn't going anywhere. Remember, he has not been around. I don't think he's even been around for a year. He replaced John Pesutto after he, of course, had to resign with a lot of egg on his face after completely botching how he dealt with Maura Deeming. So now we've got this woman called Jess Wilson. She was actually only elected at the last election, so she's been in for less than 3 years, I believe. She's only 35 years old as well, which for a political leader is a very, very young age to be. But yeah, she beat him 19 votes to 13. And she is said to be from the Conservative faction. But the thing is, we were told Brad Battin was as well. We were all told that when Pesutto got the boot or had to resign, it was seen as a victory for the Conservatives in the Victorian branch. But then Battin, of course, failed to gain traction. I think they're particularly annoyed that despite the massive increase in crime, Battin still failed to kind of convince the voters that the Libs would at least do a better job in terms of law and order. So now we've got this woman, Jess Wilson. Sky News absolutely love her. They referred to her as Jacinta Allan's worst nightmare.
If Sky News like her, then that's already a warning flag for me.
Yeah, it is. So, yeah, look, we'll see. She she has refused to distance herself from the party's climate change policy. So, as I was saying, this is becoming an issue in the States now as well. Um, but a lot of people, certainly Sky News, are hopeful that she is going to chuck out their commitment to net zero. Because remember, the states and territories have all committed to it in their own ways as well, with their
Yeah.
own targets and everything. So that's what they're hoping for.
Well, that's what the big bragging campaign that your boy Ninja crashed in Bunbury was about when Hagen went and
When Albo was over here in Bunbury.
yeah. That's what that was about, discussing WA's goals or timeline.
Right. But she also she reaffirmed the party's commitment to repeal Victoria's first treaty with Aboriginal people, as we covered earlier.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so look, we already kind of covered this, but Mark Speakman stood down as leader of the Liberal Party in New South Wales. And here I am. I'm sorry for not having this prep in front of me. But Kellie Sloan was elected leader. This was also, I might add, right after Speakman guaranteed that he was not going anywhere.
Yep.
So, now we've got another female leader. They've already had one in New South Wales. Of course, they had Gladys. They also had, oh, God, I can't remember her name now. She used to be on the drum all the time. Anyway, they've had female leaders before. So this is not some woman breaking the glass ceiling or anything like that. So she is a former journalist and former non-profit CEO. It's an interesting resume. But just like Jess Wilson, she's a first-term MP. So certainly you could say she is inexperienced, has never held cabinet before. So, but then again, John Howard never held. Kevin Rudd never held a ministry before he was elected prime minister. What I found much more interesting news though this week was the change in leadership in the New South Wales Nationals, and that in turn is actually what spurred on the change for the Liberals as well. So, I'm sorry if I'm saying this guy's name incorrectly, but Duglad Saunders, he recently resigned from the Nats. It was a sudden resignation. People were not expecting it. But now you have a Coffs Harbour MP called Gurmesh Singh.
There we go.
Who was elected unopposed as the leader of the National Party. He is a former berry farmer, has been in Parliament since 2019, and is the Shadow Minister for Emergency Services.
The fuck?
So, he is, as you could probably tell, of Indian background. He is also a Sikh. The Australian Sikh community said they find this very, very encouraging. Indian networking, and sometimes on religious lines. So, the divide between Hindus and Sikhs.
Well, right now the separatist movement over there is causing the Sikh separatist movement is causing tensions and assassinations, like in the case of over both here and in Canada.
Right. Well, they think that Modi basically ordered a hit on a Sikh in Canada. It's probably true. I'd say it's probably true. So yeah, don't be surprised if something like that ends up happening over here. But yeah, Indians network politically. I mean, I first really became aware of that when we did the episode on Adam Somyurek in Victoria, who was the Turkish numbers man.
Yeah.
Basically, he he was found doing enormous amounts of branch stacking, but in particular, ethnic branch stacking, and one of those ethnic groups was Indian. And that was when I really started to read about all the grants and everything that Dan Andrews had been handing the Indian community, particularly the Hindus, like Hindu temples and that kind of thing. So,
gigantic gold fucking statues everywhere. Canada got it first, but like, yeah, we're getting it here now. Millions of dollars for fucking gaudy bullshit.
So when I read about Indian councillors and MPs and now even leaders, I'm not surprised. It was only a matter of time until they started climbing the ranks as they have. And, this guy, of course, he's not saying he's running some kind of ethnic Sikh agenda or anything like that. But, once they actually do have more numbers, once they have more of a presence, that's absolutely what they'll start doing.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun.
Okay, so the... what's his name? I'm sorry. The member from Hinchinbrook in Queensland is from the Qatar Australia Party. Oh, God, where is it? I'm sorry, I forgot this guy's name. Sorry. Nick Demito. So he actually was in the Queensland Parliament as a member of Qatar Australia, but he left to run for mayor of Townsville. And apparently he is, this turned out to be a safe bet. They've nearly counted all the votes, and it looks like his election is pretty certain. Now, the Queensland Liberals have accused Labor and the Qatar Australia Party of striking a secret deal over preferences in the upcoming by-election, so that they can replace Nick Demito in the seat of Hinchinbrook. So Labor lifts the Qatar Australia candidate as number 2 on its how to vote card. However, on the Qatar how to vote card, it says to put Labor and the LNP 5th and 6th. So, yeah, I don't know. It's unusual. But I think the Qatar Australia Party is going to win that seat, because in that part of Queensland, they're popular.
Again, like as soon as it gets rural, they're popular.
All right, so going to the federal libs, we've basically already covered this when we talked about climate. It looks like Susan Lee's leadership is safe for now. She was actually asked on her latest appearance on 7:30 if she can guarantee that she will lead the coalition to the next election. And she said yes. She said, absolutely, I am the leader, and was elected 6 months ago. Usually politicians don't answer a question like that so directly with an absolute answer. She did, amazingly. She was probably advised to do so, I'd say. But yeah, like I honestly think her leadership is safe now because she has given the Conservatives what they want. I also think it wouldn't be a good look for the Liberals to tear down a woman. But I'd say probably the biggest factor of all is that it's much harder to change a leader now. The party room, the Liberals would have to actually get 2/3 of the vote on board. That's the threshold needed to replace a leader.
Yeah,
that was implemented by ScoMo after, they had the revolving door of leadership and they're like, we got to do something about this. So
the shit was getting a bit too spastic.
Yeah, so I think she will be here for the long term. We may well see her embrace nuclear power and uranium mining, but on immigration, no, I am not hopeful.
All right.
Okay, let's skip to One Nation.
Okay.
So Pauline Hanson is appealing the finding in court that she defamed Green Senator Marine Faruqi. Pauline Hanson does have a very high-profile silk, Sue Christenthau. She's represented a lot of big names across the country, and she's very expensive. So she's arguing that Senator Hanson has not broken any laws because the discrimination laws are not designed to protect people against religious vilification. Now, Faruqi's lawyers are saying, well, no, because her Muslim faith is in tandem with her Pakistani heritage, and that is relevant under referring to the words that Senator Hanson used, which was she should piss off back to Pakistan. So, look, I think it's ridiculous that she should be taken to court over this and fined, as she has, or ordered to pay damages. However, I don't think she's going to win this.
No. I was going to say the rules in the books right now. This is pretty fucking black and white. It's not a religion; it's specifically a nationality she's going after, and then you can even say in the case of Pakistan, an ethnicity.
Yeah, that's the thing. She didn't actually say anything about her being a Muslim or anything. So yeah, I don't really see how that argument could stand up. You should be able to attack her on the basis of race and religion and whatever else. But unfortunately, the laws don't say that. So no, I think she's pretty screwed. Okay, now I guess maybe this is a positive story. We've been covering with delight the fact that Drew Hutton, who is the co-founder of the Australian Greens, remember he founded the Greens with Bob Brown back in '92, I think. He was kicked out of the Greens because he said that there needed to be a debate on the issue of transgenderism. He didn't even say that he supported, X policy. He just said that the party should be able to debate the issue. And for that, he was kicked out. There were also, this is according to the Australian, there were at least 25 other Greens members in New South Wales and Victoria who were kicked out as well. But guess what? He has been reinstated. This is not because the party just let him back in. It's because he took the matter to court. And yes, you can do that. You can fight your expulsion from
brutal
political party.
I was going to say, I don't know why, starting as like a tree hugging party and then, the Greens evolving into the nasty fucking mess that it is today. I don't know why he thought he could actually get away with saying something like that in such a hyper dogmatic party.
Maybe because he's old and, he only, he's still stuck in 1992. He just, if he had been in the game, if he had been in Parliament all this time, he would have known. But, he's just sort of been an outsider. As far as I know, he's never actually sat in Parliament. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, he should have known. But he's really embarrassed them. He's really embarrassed the party that he helped found. And, he's definitely sending the message out to people that this is not the same party he co-founded.
No.
they have changed. They're now a rabid neoliberal anti-white party. You know, they're no longer watermelons. They're not, secret
They're just red.
Yeah, I mean, like they used to be. What's her name? Lee Rhiannon, I think. Like she was actually like a genuine communist. But now, because their voter base comes from the inner cities, and they don't overturn capitalism or anything. So they embrace like new age capitalism and things like woke capital, stuff like that.
They do
on the working class.
That's why the Victorian Socialists split off, because they wanted more like socialist communist policies.
And they support the rights of employers to sack or discipline workers for being mean to gay people or to non-whites.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh well.
So,
it's not fun anymore.
So moving back to the issues, education. This was a good story. So our federal education minister is Jason Clare. Now he has amassed new powers that are apparently in the public interest to mass cancel courses. Now, universities and the training centre have referred to this as a political intervention that is basically a form of censorship. Now, certainly it could end up being that way. It all depends on how he actually exercises these powers. But the education sector that is most pissed off about this is the English language college sector. Now, why do you think this is? Because they're running fake courses. All right?
Yep.
These are people who need to meet the English language criteria on the visa that they're on, and rather than actually go and sit the course themselves, they go and pay some fake college to simply issue them the certificate. Jason Clare knows that this is going on. I've heard him talk about it. So he wants to step in and say, no, these are bullshit courses that are not educating people at all, and they need to be scrapped.
I remember someone was tried to interview at like a truck stop these like CDL holders, and I think one of the things with the CDL is you actually have to be able to like speak English. I think it was either in Canada or the States, but like there was a requirement for you to have English comprehension, and literally every single one he went up to had no fucking clue what he was saying. They're like, no English, no English, no English.
Well, yeah, look, man, I still remember doing like group assignment works back in uni, and remember this is a while ago now, and these are people who are these were foreign students I'm talking about, and they had actually done ticked the boxes correctly, they'd done it all the legal way, but man, their English skills were just atrocious. Like I had to do so much like proofreading and editing of their work. It was unbelievable. So, the standards were already low enough. And now, you've just got these bloody certificate mills that just print these fucking bits of paper for you. And look, it's not like Jason Clare is going to like just suddenly ban gender studies.
No.
No way is he going to do that. So, no.
I wonder if these Indian degree mills that are popping up in this country. I've actually watched a Canadian dude film them as well. Like there was a place that was a nail salon, and then like 2 years later, it's a degree mill. I wonder if they'll actually shut them down because the big universities in Australia might be able to pay a politician to actually reclaim their section of the profit.
Yeah, I mean, look, that might be a motivator in all of this as well. But no, it's about time the government actually did something about this. I remember Jason Clare actually talking about this back when they were he had to justify the reduction in student visas. Although that expires like semester 1 next year. Everything's going back to normal.
Yep.
All right. Okay, let's move on to health. So, yeah, something that was, I guess, quite surprising for people is that Anthony Albanese wrote to state and territory leaders saying that they need to slash the growth in public hospital spending. Now, Albo has actually warned that other deals or funding agreements that they might have with the states could be in jeopardy if they don't get these budgets under control. So naturally, the states and territories have reacted angrily to this. They're saying that they're meeting their share of health funding commitments, and that the federal government is essentially just trying to pass the buck here.
Yeah.
It's hard to know who's screwing who in cases like this. Every now and then, this results in the Commonwealth government saying, "Well, look, you can make this a lot easier just by delegating your powers to us," which they can do. You can centralize the powers concerning regulation of health. I remember Tony Abbott, back when he was health minister, was calling on the states to do that.
Okay, so it's not a novel thing then. All right.
No, it's not. I mean, we did it with industrial relations when John Howard passed work choices. The states fought that, though. Like the Commonwealth seized those powers. I'm not really sure how that works, but they did actually take the Commonwealth to court over that and lost. Okay, so right. A public health alert has been issued for people at a concert in Brisbane last month after a measles outbreak in Queensland. So this is just one such story that I have read about people coming down with measles in Australia. And I should also point out that America and Canada have recently lost their status as measles free. We're also seeing the emergence of other diseases that we basically thought eradicated around the world. It's very obvious what's happening.
Polio's back now.
People, after the shit show of COVID, obviously vaccine hesitancy or just outright being an anti-vaxxer has increased. Now, I'm sorry if you're an anti-vaxxer. Look, I'm sorry, but look, vaccines are a medical miracle. Okay, some people want to bloody lynch me for saying that, but I absolutely find it disturbing to see the outbreaks of these diseases because people are either refusing to get themselves vaccinated or refusing to vaccinate their children.
Especially because now we're novel and non-novel but thought to be wiped out diseases are being brought in. That's why the fucking Black Plague shows up every now and then, because it just pops up in its fucking random villages in China.
Well, look, vaccines do not cause autism. The guy who wrote that was a complete fraud. He actually had a patent for his own measles vaccine, and he ended up dating Elle Macpherson and making lots and lots of money by promoting anti-vax snake oil. And vaccines do not contain mercury. Even in the preservative that they used to have in vaccines, they don't have it anymore. It contained a compound that had a mercury atom, thimerosal. I'm sure you know more about this than me, Nolsey, but that is very different to something actually containing mercury. Okay? No one says that water contains oxygen, even though it's made up with oxygen atoms.
Yeah, probably the best way to explain it is the mercury in that compound is not bioavailable. So elemental mercury not bioavailable. Mercury salts those are bioavailable, but it's not exactly a mercury salt. It's organic compound.
Right. Also,
like
the thing
you get yeah.
There's more aluminium in breast milk than there is in any vaccine you can take. So just
I know
believe
what
me,
some of you guys are like. Fucking perverts.
vaccines do not cause autism or all this other shit that people say they do. Um, some people refer to data used on the VAERS database. I don't know if you've heard of that one, Nolsey, but it's completely, it's just people who log on and then just type in whatever it is they say that the vaccine caused them, and it's not verified. There was one person who said that the COVID vaccine caused him to grow a penis on his forehead, right?
What?
So, you obviously can't take stuff like that seriously. Anyway, I'll stop my rant there. But,
Penis time.
oh, the federal health minister, Mark Butler, he is saying that the matter of puberty blockers is purely a matter for state governments. Now, they had the freeze on puberty blockers in Queensland, and the health minister actually reinstated that order after a court struck it down, which is great. And this has actually built some momentum, meaning that the federal government has been pressured into perhaps following a similar course. But yeah, Mark Butler is actually using the line of like, well, look, the Commonwealth can't do it because it's a matter for the states. I doubt that. I really do doubt it. Health responsibilities are divided between the states and the Commonwealth. I am very skeptical by the idea that there is absolutely nothing Mark Butler could do about that. And interestingly, like, he's not really taking a side here. Like, he's not actually saying if he thinks puberty blockers are a good or a bad thing. Whereas maybe a couple of years ago, he would have said, "Oh, who are you to tell some teenager what gender they are? They know themselves." But that's shifting. I honestly think that's an issue that is shifting in Australia. Now, on abortion.
Oh boy!
So there was a bill, introduced. It was rejected, not passed. It was introduced into the upper house in South Australia's parliament, and this was to limit abortions to no more than the fetus being 23 weeks old. I'm not sure what it actually is at the moment, but it's something very high. It's like, the baby has a brain and has a beating heart. So this was actually, you'd say quite a modest bill in terms of just reducing the time a little bit. But yeah, unfortunately didn't get the numbers. But you know who was the one who introduced this bill was Sarah Game, who was actually voted in on the One Nation ticket, and she is Jewish. But she's independent now. She's no longer a member of One Nation, which, I swear about 75% of elected One Nation MPs eventually leave the party.
Well, it's weird where the fucking party is going, considering they're now like gaining up on the coalition. That's concerning.
Right, yeah. Okay, well, euthanasia. God, we're really hitting the heavy topics here. All right, so there is a plan to allow aged care homes to reject voluntary assisted dying on their premises if they have some kind of ethical issue with it. So this is, this is just in New South Wales. So this is to give faith-based aged care providers the right to choose whether patients can access euthanasia in their facilities. And believe it or not, that is in line with the laws in Victoria, Tasmania, and Western Australia. But there is a leading lawyer in Australia who is going to fight against that and block those reforms. He is going to argue that it is constitutionally invalid. And you know who that is? It's Arthur Moses.
Yep, I was waiting for that one. I was waiting for that penny to drop. Ha ha.
With the exception of Mark Liebler, I'd say he's the most prominent Jewish lawyer we have in this country. And you know who his girlfriend is? Gladys Berejiklian, the former, apparently Armenian Premier of New South Wales.
Doubt.
Yes. Okay. So
wasn't Berejiklian actually even born in fucking Israel? Wasn't that also a thing?
I think she was born in Jerusalem. Yeah, I remember reading that.
But yeah, what the fuck is going on Armenian here?
She looks incredibly Jewish, and I mean, come on, she's dating a Jew. All right.
Yeah, and not just one, but a high end one who definitely wouldn't have his proverbial offspring not be religiously Jewish. So yeah, I would say no.
Okay, quick little gay story. So a Western Sydney council banned Drag Queen Story Hour. So they wanted permission to hold this event somewhere, but then they defied the council's ban and they went to a willing venue in Western Sydney. It was probably a bloody library or something.
Yep.
And they held this drag queen. His name is Jesper Duffy. He read a book on gender expression called My Shadow is Purple, which is basically...
That sounds psychotic.
Yes. It is a queer propaganda picture book for children, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, even when the councils are saying, no, you can't do it, they're doing it anyway. These people should be arrested. Throw this faggot in jail for doing this. Okay.
Oh boy.
All right, let's go to... We're getting to the end here. We're just going to go through some individuals, some profiles here. So first up is Linda Reynolds, former Liberal Party senator and minister. She's suing the Commonwealth, claiming that it breached its duty of care in handing Brittany Higgins' $2.4 million compensation payout. So she's also suing HWL Ebsworth, which is the law firm that acts on behalf of the Commonwealth. And, well, actually, let me read the next story just to give you an idea of why it is Linda Reynolds is taking this to court. So when she took Brittany Higgins and David Shiraz to court over defaming her and won, there was a whole heap of documents that were subpoenaed for the purposes of the court. The West Australian actually has gotten hold of some of those documents. So, in one letter, the Commonwealth's lawyers, purportedly acting on Miss Reynolds' behalf, effectively give Miss Higgins an extension of time to commence her claim, which Miss Reynolds alleges was against her instructions and done without telling her.
What?
So it said, well, hold on. It says the lawyers who were supposed to be acting on Reynolds' behalf, they forcibly took control of her defense. And they went and gave Miss Higgins an extension of time to commence her claim. So, in other words, these were lawyers that Linda Reynolds did not want, and they acted contrary to her instructions to them. So, basically, these were lawyers that were appointed to her, but didn't want her to win.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it sounds like they just upped and fucking sabotaged the case.
Yes, that's what effectively the document says. Okay, and another letter says that that Brittany Higgins' lawyers then provided the Commonwealth with new claims against Miss Reynolds and an increased quantum proposed for settlement, none of which the Linda Reynolds was told about. So, in other words, they were asking for even more money, more compensation from the Commonwealth. And those, like, that part of the negotiations or whatever, or the process, they never actually informed Linda Reynolds. That is amazing. That all happened. And then, Brittany Higgins got this massive payout that, for a while helped them buy a luxury house in France. They since have had to sell it to be able to finance their legal fees fighting the defamation case that Reynolds brought against them. So,
people got people got the outcome that we deserved.
That's right. So yeah, now, what?
I mean, the taxpayer is still getting fucked, but
yeah. Another thing that's interesting is that despite the fact that we have these documents, and despite the fact that it was found that Linda Reynolds was defamed, and more importantly, it was also found that there was no political cover-up of the alleged rape. Neither the Morrison government or Linda Reynolds personally ever did anything to cover up the alleged rape, which I don't think happened. Now, despite all of that, Anthony Albanese just will not comment on this. Because remember, it was Christina Keneally, Penny Wong, and Katie Gallagher, the Mean Girls, who mounted this campaign against Linda Reynolds and effectively said, yes, there was a cover-up and you were responsible for it. And that was part of the reasoning as to why Brittany Higgins was given the $2.4 million in the first place. Because it was supposed to compensate her for trying to cover up the rape. Or at least that was part of it. Despite that, Anthony Albanese will not admit any wrongdoing by himself, the Labor Party, or either of those three senators.
I was going to say, like, this has turned into literally the dumbest fucking piece of political intrigue in this country's history, probably. Gough Whitlam dying. Actually, I had to look into him fucking with the CIA. That was possibly dumber.
Oh, look, possibly. But, the fact that this is so stupid is what makes it so serious. The fact that this resulted in this multi-million-dollar payout to this lying bitch. And all built on a stack of lies that basically cost Linda Reynolds her political career. Not that I like Linda Reynolds. I don't.
No.
But I have to, like, kind of feel sorry for her, given all of this crap that, she had no hand in whatsoever. Okay. My Word document decides to freeze on me. Right.
We're on to. Are we still
Tony
on?
Abbott.
Yeah, we're still going back onto Abbott. Yeah. Let's just
Do
see
we
if there was a
remember the
Dublin win.
stare off that Tony Abbott did? This was, God, oh man, it was in 2011 now?
God fucking damn it.
I thought it was earlier than that. This was when he was caught on camera talking to ADF personnel about someone who died, and a soldier, that is. And Abbott used the phrase "shit happens" when he talked to the soldiers. And
fuck,
this was supposed to be controversial. All he was doing was saying to the guys, like, unfortunately, that is what happens on the battlefield. Shit happens. We all say that from time to time, don't we?
Yeah.
But anyway, he was questioned on Channel 7 about that. And Tony Abbott's response, according to this article, was staring at the reporter for 24 seconds in silence, where he just, like, very slightly nodded his head. And then he
I remember him.
You remember
He's
that?
locked up. Yeah, I remember this one. I just remember him locking the fuck up. I was like, Jesus.
It was painful to watch. And then eventually he just said, I've given you the response you deserve. So he was asked about this recently, and he said the reason why he just went silent was because he was actually considering hitting this guy. Like, he was so pissed off he wanted to bash him. So he was kind of like talking himself out of it in his head for a whole 24 seconds. No, but it was so bad, like, because by doing that, he turned that story into something so much bigger. Like, if that didn't happen, I honestly think it would have just blown over, like, after just a day. But unfortunately, he made it that much worse for himself. Such a ridiculous response.
It's kind of always been a bit of a spastic.
Yeah, a little bit. Abbott never really had true charisma, I don't think, that a politician needs.
Yeah.
All right, so the Aussie Cossack, Simeon Boykov, who's not a Cossack, he's a fucking Mongol. So he's about to enter his fourth year in the Russian consulate in Sydney. He's actually been there since December 2022, and this was after, like, he basically pushed over an old guy, and they wanted to charge him with assault. So he said that he would rather die in the consulate than go back to jail. I mean, even it's like a very minor assault charge. I mean, if he had been to jail, he would have been out by now. He would have been out long ago. So apparently, he is being locked in his room. He's been refused visitors and denied permission to hold a christening inside the consulate for his son, who is due to be born next month. So, like,
Jesus.
Like Varg Vikernes, he's having kids while he's locked up. So yeah, he's basically complaining that he's, like, getting the Julian Assange treatment, like what Julian Assange got in the latter days of his Ecuadorian embassy stay.
Except for something 100 times more retarded.
Yeah. And then they eventually kicked him out, but there's no sign that the Russians are going to kick him out. Not yet, anyway. Okay. Also in Russia, Russia have lost their High Court bid to prevent them from building a new embassy in Canberra. Now, this is actually despite the fact that they had taken out a lease. They had paid for it. But then the war in the Ukraine broke out, and they revoked that lease. But apparently the Commonwealth has the right to do that. They simply have to compensate Russia for the cost of the lease. That's all. Okay. Remember the guy who sent a death threat to Fatima Payman
Yes.
So this was a 52-year-old man from Ballarat. Threatened to kill her. Apparently, he was drinking 1 carton of beer a day.
Yes.
To deal with his own mental health issues. And I guess after 24 cans, he decided to send an email. Yeah, when you're pissed, never open your email or even your texts, I don't think. Don't send a drunk text message. Doesn't go down well.
Not a good idea. Never a good idea.
And so Payman has called on the government to denounce online abusive behaviour. Well, they do that all the time, don't they?
Yeah. We've got a safety commissioner for this same fucking reason.
Our guys get death threats all the time. I remember Joel Davis made that point to Channel 9 when I asked him about the rhetorically rape comment that he made. Okay, last story. The Queensland government are reclassifying the dingo. So they're classifying them as Canis familiaris, and that is the same. That basically means dog. They're just a dog. But they have said that this does not mean you will be able to keep them as a pet. They're still restricted in that regard.
Yeah, Canis familiaris, that is just dog. That is a domestic dog. Which technically they are.
We're
not calling them lupus.
They are a breed of dog, though.
Yes, they are.
But they're just a violent breed of dog because the Aborigines undomesticated them. So not only did Aborigines fail to domesticate any animal in Australia, they actually undomesticated a domestic animal. Because they originally come from Indonesia.
Yeah.
The thing is, though,
I mean, they look pretty similar to other wild Asian dogs, so it's completely believable.
Yeah. If you've got a blue heeler or a red heeler, though, you've got a part dingo dog.
Yes.
The Australian cattle dog is what you call a designer mongrel. The two main breeds are Dalmatian and Dingo. And they were bred to be cattle dog, to round up cattle. And they're called heelers because they bite the heels of the cattle to get them into line. And
sometimes small children.
Yes, that's the thing. And unfortunately, the sales of cattle dog have gone through the roof ever since that Bluey show. And you got
people getting
heelers are not quite as cute and cuddly as what that show might make out to be.
No, I've told some Americans who thought about getting blue or red heelers, but that they are an abject fucking nightmare, right? And they just had no fucking clue because they had no reference to what their actual behavior was like. They just thought they were just there's a generic farm dog. No, they are explosive, high energy, ankle biting shits.
They're very aggressive. They are very aggressive dogs. We actually had only dog actually my family ever had growing up was she was half Kelpie, half heeler. And we raised her very well, and she never attacked people. However, she did attack other dogs, and she was a real racist. Actually, it was only particular breeds of dog that she didn't like, and in particular, it was other heelers or similar types of dogs like that. She hated them. She wanted to kill them when she saw them. So
is it an Uncle Ruckus situation?
Is it Boondocks? I know the names. I'm not really going to get the reference. I really don't know much about
the self-hating black guy. The hyper-racist self-hating black guy.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I don't know. But, Yeah, I don't advise in getting a healer at all, and certainly not a dingo.
Dude, they are a piece of farming equipment, and if you're not farming, you're not going to have a good experience with them.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for joining us on this belated episode. It was a bit of a catch-up, which is why this did go for a while. I really hope that we go back to recording these on Monday. I think we will. So it'll be a nice little short show for you on Monday. But yeah, we do hope to be back then. Yeah, thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon.